Vos émissions préférées, elles sont toutes sur Radio Grand Lac.
Your English Weekly. Your English Weekly. La chronique 100% en anglais de Radio Grand Lac avec Sinead.
Hello, hello. Bonjour, chers auditeurs, et bienvenue à Your English Weekly sur le 92.1 FM. L'émission qui présente le meilleur de la langue anglaise, et je suis votre animatrice Sinead et je suis ravie d'être ici aujourd'hui avec vous et avec Tim. Vous pouvez nous trouver à Your English Workshop à Aix-les-Bains et à le revoir, et à bientôt à Technolac. N'oubliez pas de regarder notre site pour nos dernières informations. L'épisode aujourd'hui est de niveau A2B1 avec un contenu passionnant. Alors, avec un jeune mot de Tim aussi aujourd'hui. Good afternoon, lovely listeners, and welcome to Your English Weekly, the show that brings you the best of the English language, culture, and of course, entertainment on 92.1 FM Radio Grand Lac. Hi, Tim.
Hi, Sinead.
And I'm your host, Sinead, and I'm grateful to be here with Tim. And Tim's episode this week is about...
Therapy dogs at the airport.
Ooh, therapy dogs at the airport. Sounds very exciting. And do you know what my show is going to be about today?
Well, what's it about?
Here we are, about the history of mobile phones. So all the vocabulary we need to know about our mobile phones when you are traveling. So like every week, our axe is to understand and learn more vocabulary. And thanks to this, you will improve your listening skills. But I'll give you more tips about that at the end. So stay here. Don't miss out on the fun. Tune in. Take out a notebook, a piece of paper, and write down all your new vocabulary. So, Tim, we've got a few words for us today. So tell me, what are you going to talk about, and your pun, and then your vocabulary?
Yes, of course. So, would you like to hear the pun?
Okay,
it's, I used to hate facial hair, but then it grew on me.
Ooh, that's a nice one. So if I'm not mistaken, your facial hair is what's on your face. So for a man, it's going to be a beard, for example.
Yes. And
of course, it grows every day. So it grows on me.
Yes.
Which is meaning you get used to it little by little. Is that right?
Yes, someone can grow on you too. So there's lots of things.
Sinead can grow on you, Tom. Tim.
On Tom, yes.
Okay, so tell us, what are we going to talk about, did you say?
I said, the therapy dogs at the airport.
Yes, okay. And what vocabulary are we going to hear about that today?
So, on hand.
On hand, is that being available, to be able to take, à disposition?
Yes,
okay.
Disponible. Nerves.
Okay, so your nerves is when you are nervous.
Yes.
When you are nervosité in French.
Tense.
Okay, c'est tendu.
To run. Run.
Okay, well, that's one of my favorite, because it's either the verb running, to run, courir, but in this case, I am sure it's more for a business.
Right.
So, gérer, perhaps?
Gérer, yes. Four-legged.
Okay, well, that's easy. You've got an animal, and it's got four legs, so à quatre pattes.
To train.
To train. Well, that's always quite a complex word to translate, the verb to train, because you can train to learn something, which is former, and then you can have a training, which is a little bit like a stage.
Right.
But here, I think it's probably former.
That's correct. To comfort.
Oh, that's to look after. Reconforter.
And finally, feedback.
Another word I love, when you give back your comments about something or someone, donc les retours ou les commentaires.
Okay, so article. So people that are stressed about a big flight coming up, they get to the airport, and now on hand in Istanbul airport are therapy dogs.
Okay.
There to calm people's nerves or tense travellers. It's been running the programme for the last 2 months, trying to help reduce stress and anxiety amongst passengers passing through the terminals. All 4-legged members of the program are certified therapy dogs. Okay. And they've been professionally trained and conditioned to comfort humans.
Yeah, they are very amazing. These
amazing animals, dogs. And so they've obviously, following positive feedback from passengers, the airport operator, IGA, wants to expand the project, raising the number of dogs from 5 to 10 now. Okay. So that's made the news.
And where did you find this article?
I found this article in Vocable.
Okay, in Vocab. So we'll put it on the internet so you can, of course, read it or listen to it. Okay, well, today you know that we're all going to be traveling. I think most of France is traveling this weekend. I have a funny feeling that very unbalanced weekends of May.
There'll be some tense drivers.
I think there might be. Anyway, so I thought we would talk about the mobile phone. So do you know when the mobile phone was invented?
Late 19th century, maybe?
Yes, and do you know when the phone was invented?
No, not in my head. No.
Okay, so let's just go quickly to the phone and then the mobile phone. But first, let me give you some vocabulary, listeners. So let's have a look at the word through a wire, which means à travers une file. Or if you talk about businesses and of course households, you will talk about the business et bien sûr les foyers, which means the household. Okay, switchboards, which is standard téléphonique. And then I learned something new today in French, which is rotary dials. And in French, that means the cadran rotatif. The cadran, which you can dial, donc composer des numéros. So you turn the telephone to dial the number. And then you have a landline. So what is a landline? C'est le téléphone fixe. Of course, you will hear the word bulky. So what does that mean, bulky? It means encombrant. And then you will hear mainly, which I know you know, which is principalement. Coverage. Another word for saying when you've got 4G or 5G and everything functions is you've got your network. And the network is le coverage, donc c'est la couverture de, I don't even know in French, and to be honest, la couverture réseau, the réseau. Voilà. New standard, so des nouvelles normes. You can download, which means télécharger, or you can browse. What does browse mean?
It's like to
navigate.
Surf,
yeah,
right?
To surf, exactly. To surf or navigate. So, listeners, are you ready to listen, Tim? Let's see what you know.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. So, the history of the telephone begins in actually the 19th century with Alexander Graham Bell, who was the first creating or using or inventing the telephone. The idea was that the machine could transmit voice sounds electrically through a wire, donc à travers un fil, allowing businesses and, of course, households be able to communicate, les foyers. So, following the invention, telephone technology rapidly evolved. Early phones required operators to connect calls through switchboards, des standards téléphoniques. And then everybody had a telephone in their house in the 20th century, often with rotary dials, which allowed users to directly dial numbers without an operator. The telephone continued to improve throughout history to become an essential part of our daily life. our daily lives. The mobile phone, or the cell phone in American, because I say mobile phone. What do you say?
Mobile.
Yeah, but in America, they say the cell phone. So the concept of mobile phone started then in the mid-20th century. And the idea was to create a portable device, a movable device that could communicate without wires. And then the landline, which is still used today, was starting to become more and more obsolete. So now today, in our 21st century, we've gone through a different few stages. And we went through a stage in the 80s, I remember that time, when mobile phones were big, bulky, and were mainly used in cars. So it was true that when it was released in 1983, they thought this was the mobile phone era. But what happened in the 90s, Tim?
What?
The smartphone.
Oh, the smartphones came around, of course.
Of course. And now everybody has their own smartphone. So we saw the rise of these smartphones with the BlackBerry, Nokia, etc. But then, in 2007, Apple launched the first iPhone, which of course revolutionized the industry. The iPhone had a touch screen, so you could touch the screen. You could have the Apple Store, where you could buy what you wanted. As a, how can we say, you could buy the application you wanted, for example, a GPS, to be able to navigate. You could also download games or various things that you wanted, or you could browse the internet and stream media and watch videos. Since then, the smartphones have become a part of our daily lives, integrating technology, like I said with the GPS, high-resolution cameras to take photos and videos, and, of course, voice assistants and various sensors. So mobile technology has transformed the way we communicate and work. And, of course, I hope now, listeners, you've had a little overview of this history. And before we finish, do you love your mobile, Tim?
It has a good relationship with me.
Yeah, I think it does with most people.
Yeah.
And what age, just by curiosity, Tim, how old were you when you got your first mobile? And was it a smartphone?
Nope. No. The first time I used my dad's phone to start with when I was 15, 16. Yeah.
Okay. So you already used it, your parents.
Parents had a big brick for phone. Like Nokia. Anyway, it was one of the first phones, mobile phones.
Okay. And then when did you get your first smartphone?
Smartphone, crikey. I transitioned every year into new phones. So it was in my 20s, my late,
Yeah. When they all came in.
Yes, yeah,
when
exactly.
They all came in.
Exactly.
So you all know Tim is younger than me, huh? Well, listeners, before I finish my tip of the day, listen again to this podcast with myself and Tim. Write your new words down. See if you remember them. See if you can hear them when listening for further understanding. Don't forget, listening 2, 3, or 4 times is totally average, sometimes for understanding. And of course, remembering your vocabulary. All of this will give you confidence and will motivate you to learn more and more English. Well, listeners, we've come to the end with myself and Tim, and I hope you have expanded your vocabulary. You know you can listen to us again on YouTube, of course. And of course, you know we air every week from 12:15 to 12:30, providing articles from vocab, Go English, Now English, etc. We put all of them on the internet site, so don't hesitate. So come back to hear us again for another talk next week at the same time, at the same hour. But in the meantime, stay tuned for Jean-Pierre at 5 p.m., donc à 17h, 1 hour, 1 commune, avec Grésy sur Aix, bien sûr, et ce soir, avec Guillaume et Vincent, restez bien avec eux, avec Kevin aussi, pour l'émission sur le cinéma, la 16e à 19h30. Well, listeners, thank you again for listening. Thanks, Tim, for coming, and we'll talk with you next week. Bye to you from us at you.
Your English Weekly. Your English Weekly. La chronique 100% en anglais de Radio Grand Lac avec Sinead.